Call the meeting to order, the Griggs County Commission. Stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. John.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Ron.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Troy's here. Agenda. Anybody have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I have none.
He's on the agenda.
I'd move to approve the agenda.
Been moved by Sean to approve the agenda. Is there a second to the motion?
I'd second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Should we skip down to the Burlington Northern just so he can roll?
I'll send him back to work, huh?
Well, we can find something else to do first.
Thank you. I guess there's been some question from the constituents down in the southern part of the county about the stabilization work the BNSF's doing out there on our KO subdivision.
Yeah, I toured it one day. That's a big job.
Yeah, and I mean, we're plugging some pipes down there, you know, that are well underwater.
Okay.
And there was some concern expressed about, you know, what our
I bet.
ultimate obligation was.
Okay.
And I guess just, we had our consultants look up a couple of chapters in the state code, and I mean, I'm sure the county attorney have those too, but.
Well, you're doing all this work to alleviate the water issues. You're gonna, I assume you're going to replace those outlets, or?
Well, no. I mean, the work we're doing is focused on subgrade stabilization to try to improve the stability of the embankment.
Yep.
And in the process, we're by default blocking some of the culverts that are out in deep water to widen the bank.
Yep.
And that's where the concern from the neighbors came in about what our ultimate plan was for those deep water culverts. And by law, highlighted chapters in the state code there, you know, we're all, you can impound water, you can't build a dam without a permit, and some of the facets of that line of thinking. We are putting in low flow, we're putting in equalizers now at the level the water is, just so for the next couple, 3 foot of drop, they will equalize. If the water goes down, however long that's going to take, and part of the deal is the experts we've hired are telling us that there's 70% chance of 10 years of normal or above normal water, so we're not seeing this go away anytime soon. That's what our approach is. When the water goes down and those low flow culverts become an issue and there's a differential across the embankment that the temporary culverts we put in don't address anymore, then I think the railroad is legally obligated by statute there to address that situation. And there was some concern about, you know, what kind of hammer they've got on the BNSF, and I think by law, the county attorney, you know, if we don't respond to the complaints of the adjacent neighbors, you know, there's legal recourse and penalties that have been addressed in the law. So, you know, I think that, I hope that answers the question for the constituents. You know, that you know, we're not out there willy-nilly just going to walk off. But as I've explained to the gentleman in Water Board too, that, you know, I know we're hard to get hold of because we're scattered way out, and the guys in Fargo that handle bridges for this territory, you know, run clear to the Montana line, and they go over to Minnesota. So I know you don't get the next hour response when you leave a phone message, but the railroad is not going to go anyplace. I mean, we've been here 100 years, we'll be here another 100 years, and you know, you got a hook on us with the law there. So I'm hoping that eases everybody's mind that, you know, we're not trying to ignore this. But neither do we want to spend the money to go out and 6-8 foot of water and build a big old coffer dam, drill in a new low flow culvert that basically is going to probably be silted up to some degree whenever the water goes down to where that culvert becomes effective. So we just like to let the commission know, you know, that we're not trying to skate by any responsibilities, but you know, we do recognize that we've got some liability here. We're trying to address equalizing all these levels for the next 2 or 3 foot drop. Most of these culverts we're putting in now are below existing flow line or existing water level elevation. So that flow line will be effective for a couple 3 foot of drop. But after that, then if we start being an impoundment and there's a differential from one side to the other, then we're obligated to come back and address that. And that may, it may be a deal that we have to, it's not a one-shot deal. It may be that in 5 years or so, we got to come put another set of equalizers in that may not be low-flow pipes.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about 610107, it's obstruction of water courses and the penalty. If any person illegally obstructs any ditch, drain, or water course, or diverts water there within from its natural or artificial course, the person is liable to the party suffering injury from the obstruction or diversion for the full amount of the damage done. And in addition, it's a Class B misdemeanor. So I guess the question would be, did you alter it from its prior artificial course? And if you did that, then you would be in violation of this code. So it's not only the natural course, it's its prior artificial course, is the way I read this.
Yes, well, and we think the low flow pipes, wherever they are now, would be, everybody would agree that that's where, before the water came up, the water was going. I guess the other point to be discussed at that time, whatever time in the future that might be, is after all this years and years of flooding, vegetation, siltation in the bottom of these ponds, at that time that may not be the bottom. That may not be the channel. So I mean, we would propose at that time to look at, okay, where does it make sense to put this? I mean, just because there was a pipe there 100 years ago, some of them were pre-Dust Bowl pipes. I don't know how much the topography changed with the Dust Bowl around it. Like down in Oklahoma, it changed feet. And so, but I mean, the point being is that the BNSF is legally obligated to address that when we become an impediment to the flow.
Yeah.
And he was at our meeting, we did have local landowners and local township representatives, and they're all on board with the piece. And we kept one of these in our records with our minutes that they produced.
So I'd just like to assure that, the commission that, we're not trying to escape out of responsibility, but we don't think it's appropriate to try to go out in deep water and put in a local pipe that serves no practical purpose now. And if our crystal ball experts are right, in 10 years, this starts going down, it'll need to be addressed to where the flow wants to go down.
So right now the water level is the same on both sides?
If it isn't, we're putting the pipes in to make it.
To equalize it. So
Yeah,
then-
to equalize. And the pipes we're putting in to equalize have got a couple, 2 to 3 foot of freeboard, so they will handle, some drawdown before they become ineffective and are high and dry. And, I expect the neighbors to come raise hell, to be blunt about it, when we start down the water. And one other thing too, I mean, we hope that will be quick enough that then the guy downstream that now is dried up more than the guy upstream, when we do cut the water loose, that we're not in a big old deal about, well, you flooded 10 more acres because you let Joe's water come through now. I mean, we'll fight that battle when it comes, because I know we're not going to be next day responsive. I mean, I'm not going to promise you we're not going to be next day responsive. It's going to take us a while to react, but we will react, and we're obligated to react. Just want to assure the commission that, we're going to be here.
Is there a contact number then? When we get complaints, is there a contact number that we can?
And you guys have got my number. The problem is, I'm probably going to be gone every time the water goes down. And the fallback is have the county attorney. I mean, he's the fallback to get hold of our retained counsel in North Dakota. The lawyers always get action. Because they'll answer that damn phone call.
Did you give the water board a copy of this showing it's who you couldn't find?
No.
No, they haven't got a copy of that.
Well, you had the plans, Steve, that Rick left you, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, we got that.
Yeah. And when some of these pipes, we haven't been able to find, they're buried down there. The surveyors went out in boats and waited, and some of them were silted in and buried so bad. Some of the old pipes we couldn't find. So, I mean, that's why, our suggestion would be that it would be most appropriate to wait till the water came down and we could define where the issues were and address them then, rather than going back in and putting in pipes at historical locations just because there was one there. It might not be the appropriate place to put one.
Most of those pipes are too deep now.
Yeah. And that's what we find. I mean, that's why a lot of them are relatively
what I've
ineffective, because they're well below the adjacent natural ground.
Yeah.
The one that wasn't silted in though, that's the one that got buried when they come in around the clock, just dumping riprap off the railroad.
In
Because the
09?
track was sagging so bad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the one that got buried right away, but they didn't want to go back and dig the rock back out to find the depth of it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we think we've got equalizers in every place now that are gonna keep a differential. And, you know, as you go through the summer, if it does start drying out and there's an issue, you know, I'm still gonna be up here. We're still gonna be working west of here on stabilization. And just like the one, we're gonna re-drill a Karnak. We're gonna come back and do a new one there. They go over the township pipes down south, you know, we can respond. But after this fall, when we get done with this set of stabilization, I'm not gonna get around to it with contractors. Our bridge guys still will be, but they're a little hard to get a hold of because they're covering quite a little territory. But the fallback, I just, you know, if you want to put that in minutes, the fallback is the BNSS retained counsel of the county, you know, I mean, he's registered, county attorney get a hold of our retained counsel. And I think that guy has now changed, so I don't know who it is now. But that's the fallback, we, you know, if you can't get an answer out of Fargo from our bridge guys, and you know Paul Fisher, yeah, I mean, he's the local guy there now, but, you know, if the 10-year story is a good story, we may all be gone.
Right.
And it'll be the, you know, the kids and grandkids come talking about this.
Right.
So just any questions or anything I can add from the railroad's perspective about what we're doing? There will be some more ongoing projects. We were doing the worst locations where we had the most train delays, slow order minutes we call them, with this set of stabilization projects. And there will be some more come through, but for right now, there's none going to be in Griggs County, I don't think, next year. And if the water stays up, we'll maybe back the year after.
Historically, Houston Engineers has been a contact for you guys too.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, Rick has got the engineering contract for all this stabilization work, and, you know, they do ongoing work for us. Yeah, you can always, one of them guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Houston Engineers could be a contact point for sure.
Yeah, there are retained consultants that have designed most of this stabilization work.
Okay.
So if there's any questions or anything I can answer about what's going on down there, be glad to.
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
I appreciate hearing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I'll get out here.
Done, or is it going to be done?
They're
What's
working
that?
on it now.
They're working on it now.
The stabilization, they're working on it now, and they're gonna come back and bore another culvert in, and then those equalization culverts, I don't know if they're installed or if they're just in the process. Okay. Okay, we'll go back to the minutes from July 2nd and July 10th.
Only thing that got changed from the time that I sent it to you till now is an apostrophe S on tax director's position on the the third paragraph before the end. That's about it.
Okay. Anybody see anything else?
First time, right?
I'd move to approve the July 2nd minutes and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to approve the July 2nd meetings and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now, July 10th meeting minutes.
I'd move to approve the July 10th minutes as presented and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Sean to approve the minutes from the July 10th meeting and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now I'll take a look at the bills.
I got a question on the Bank of the West. Are we paying that in advance of the rent or at the end of the month, or how is that done, do you know?
I think it's before for the month.
Would you just go just come?
No, we just have an invoice. They don't send us bills. We have to remember to do that. That's when Cindy missed payments because she wasn't getting a bill, and then we had late charges.
Okay.
So are we paying for August then, this one?
Yep, I think
If we
so.
are, we're paying to the wrong place.
Has that sale closed?
Yes.
Oh, that was the 25th.
It's about to anyway.
Yeah, I was
Because
with
Broughton called and asked me where he would send the bill for the rent.
Did you renegotiate the rate?
I didn't ask him what the rate was gonna be. I impressed upon him that the county doesn't have any money, but I don't know if that'll influence the decision or not.
I think it's for July.
Okay.
That's what I have. Said it's for July.
So we pay after the fact?
We're paying after we use it then.
Okay. So you'll be getting a billing now from here forward, yeah,
Okay.
for August.
Okay.
Make a note of that.
That Vanguard appraisal, shouldn't that come out of the tax director's budget?
It does.
Oh, it did. Okay, well, on here it says general fund.
Yeah, general / tax.
Yeah. No room for that. Okay. Anybody have any questions on the bills?
No, I'd move to approve the July bills and vouchers.
Been moved by Sean to approve the July bills and vouchers. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Hale?
Aye.
Ron? Aye. Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. $29.
Just, don't have much, I guess, just that Monday we're gonna present these next two projects to the board in West Fargo for 176 projects, 2122 from Sutton, east 16 miles to County Road 19. That's the surface gravel. And also County Road 28, that's the Wallen Road from Griggs County 3. It's the woods south of Sutton, east 17 miles to Griggs County Road 19. That's also for gravel surface.
Have the Gilbertson started yet?
They have done 2 miles. They,
Okay.
remember, I think they started yesterday. They, I think 2 miles was up this morning. They went as far as that Carnet corner. A little washboard, a little rough, but I think I can reblade it again. It'll be so, I don't know how much rain you guys got.
I had 1.4. Jonathan Erickson had 2 inches. I mean, that kind of varies.
We only had a half at Laverne though. So,
Really? That didn't look wet. There was this one spot where there was a little water
I
standing.
don't know, when you get down,
I didn't have a gauge of it, but my puddle judge, it says like a half inch.
We had 1.3 at my place, 1.5 in winter. Here's Barbara said he had over 2 down the river. Down there.
inch 8 or 9 in town
I had 1.4 in my yard.
So it varied, but they weren't working today. They were supposed to work Monday through Friday, I think, so. Then, the bridge, preliminary bridge hydraulics and estimates were done on County Road 15 and County Road 23, and with their preliminary hydraulics, they said County Road 15 would take a 16-foot by 9-foot box culvert. That's the macro road. What it should have. County Road 23, double 10-foot box culvert is required. So 2 10-foot
So replace that wooden
boxes to replace that wooden bridge down there. Estimated with engineering 600,000. They're thinking
for both of them.
500,000 for the one on the map. So he's going to talk to you more about it when Jake was on vacation this week, and so.
What are the lengths of them?
I didn't say length on it. I think it said something about 80 feet.
On the macro?
I don't know if that included the wing walls, because the bottom would have
Right.
wings, cable in sections. But he'll have more answers on that, I think.
I can't believe they can charge that to put in a culvert.
I don't know how much the pipe is itself. Maybe that's so, then you did projection for 1176 projects. Project 1, that's Highway 10, 2.5 miles of graveling. He's thinking that's going to be like 100,000. Project 2, Highway 3, 5.5 miles. That would be from the south end of the pavement, going south to Orange County. 230,000. Highway 15, Snack Road. It says 9 miles, including the culvert, would be 800,000. Highway 3.
Including the culvert would be
That's what it
800,000.
says. I can't see. Now this was on July 7th. And so that's probably low because on July 20th is when he sent the email about Foster too. But
There'll only be one pipe in there. Or
yeah, 16 by 9.
they have to pour that in place, or can they?
It's a box. I think they just put it
Sections.
sections like they did on the Sutton project.
Double, they four that,
Pardon?
double locks they four.
I don't know. Could be
I just came across.
probably why it's higher.
Oh, I'm going over to Hillsborough and they were putting the double locks in. It was an alternate 200 and they were pouring that.
Pouring that. Okay, and then we have the 2 other projects, the ones that we're going to present on Monday. the Highway 22 and the Highway 28. And, well, like the gravel, we based it pretty much off of what Gilbertson charged this year, but we went up a little bit. I think we went up a little bit higher because it depends upon where the gravel's at. And when they started graveling, they had 9 trucks and just a short haul, and they were, well, the guy that was out there to keep track of the loads and everything, it wasn't, well, each load wasn't exactly the same, so then if you're gonna wheel that out with a wheel, you have to talk to each driver to get it. So there was a little conflict there for a while, but I think they got it straightened out, because we had talked about earlier when Jenny was even here that you could keep track of all the gravel that's within a certain distance, whether it's a mile or 500 feet or whatever they staked out. And then at the end of the day, when you total up all your slips and everything, you see how they came out. If they came out short, then you got to go back. Like now there's some spots that are just a little bit lighter. They had a window about like that. So it's really nice. When they're on, they had water there and back and stuff. So anyway, that's,
They're gravel from the county line to Carmack.
yeah. That's what's left.
That's what's left.
Yeah, they started in the west end and then worked.
Oh,
Well, they started 1 mile from the west end, did that mile, and they started from the Garnet Road west. And then looking from there to that county line. It looks like pretty nice stuff. They say it's got the right color. It's got a reddish paint.
That's coming out of Griggs pit?
It's
No.
coming out of,
Dennis Hogan,
Dennis
right?
Hogan's.
Oh, okay.
Just across the river.
They mined that already, huh?
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully, we'll get done before the end of the month, and we don't have to worry about any finding or anything like that. You know, because of, I think a lot of times they give them an extension because of the weather and stuff.
Okay.
Then I went out and I checked all the culverts that we talked about.
Yeah.
They're hired all. I found the right place this time. They about 66 feet. I think you wanted a 36 each, and it's additional one. And the last 15 feet of that culvert that's in there is up. There's water all the way to like within the last 15 feet. So maybe if a person dug on each side of that culvert, they could get it to drop down. And then, and Alan Jacobson, I don't remember exactly what he said. He said he had 30-inch arch pipes. I was in 30-inch and then arch it, so it's like 27 or 30 by 32 by. And that one is underwater. That's there. You can't see it, or it's covered with cattails and stuff. And then there's 2 on 26, which we didn't do, and part of it was I was waiting to see if that drain went through, because that determined the elevation of the one culvert. The other one was okay by Jim Johnson's. So that'd be 2 24-inch by 60 foot. And there's one blocked plug one that's west of Maple Cemetery. It's just like a 16-inch in there, but I'm going to replace that with a 44-foot 18-inch. Jim Tennyson called me about putting an additional culvert in 2003. By Terry Tennyson's place used to be there. And we've had water run over it almost every spring, for many years. So I don't see any problem with that. I looked downstream at the township road. There's 2 48-inch culverts in that. So I think it would handle that. Jim was gonna talk, he talked to one township officer, he was gonna talk to, I remember if it was Garfield Cummings or one of the other guys, to see if they approved it, because I don't wanna put another culvert in if they don't, if it's gonna run over their roads. So. And then we had one from last year on we call it the 6 mile, 6 miles south, it's 24 inch by 50 foot. Things to do, I don't know if I'll get it all. I hate to dig up that brand new road.
Still need that one replaced in the Red Little Road. It's got water backed up all the way up to number 1, and there's cattails rolling in the ditch. And it's completely plugged.
Must be probably an 18 inch,
I don't think it's very big, it just, but it caved in. And
okay.
so now going back to the
That-
east on the south side of the Red Little Road, it's now it's got cattails all the way back there. It's just a dam.
Is that where the gate is?
Yeah,
Right
right there.
The trail used to go across to the farm?
Yep. It's right, there's a red gate in that approach there, it's a narrow gate, but so that culvert must be completely plugged, because it's now going east of there, there's water and cattails. And
I know they measure the length of it sometime. Maybe why? Maybe call.
Does the county owns those culverts and those approaches too?
Yeah. I had somebody ask me, because we can't block water, of course, some of those ditches, I mean, they created the waterway, but someone asked me, well, I think it was Jim Tennyson, if we paid for the culverts. Because he wanted to put a culvert, there wasn't no culvert in this driveway thing going into Tennyson's or Terry's or something. But I said, if it's an established road like that already, I don't think we want to pay for it. Because I think at that time, the water ran both ways from that, to pay for that. A lot of counties have policies on culverts and approaches and whatever.
Well, culverts aren't that expensive.
Well,
I mean, if you
it's putting them in is like the 36-inch culvert. This is the 12 gauge. That's the thickest one. That's what I usually put in. Is whatever I can. The heaviest gauge, because I don't want to replace it later on. Like that 36-inch is 40 to 50 foot times 66 feet.
2,400.
24-inch. This is Gilberson's price sheet from 2013. I stopped there and been for the other day to see if they had a newer, updated one. They, of course, were out here, but they had the same sheet that he handed me. So $20.75 for a 24-inch.
That's what I was gonna say. I think
That's a spiral one. You know.
I just bought, I don't know, 50 feet of that stuff last fall with a band and the 2 flared-in sections, and it wasn't that. I don't think it was $1,000. So I don't know why.
$21 is what you might as well say. 21 times 60. Like for those 24 inches. Would be over.
Oh, so I did pay $1,200 for it. But if people need one, they should just go buy one.
You want to go buy it.
Well, I mean, what the heck?
They're not that expensive. And if they want to get permission to put an approach in, because not everybody can just put,
yeah.
don't put a bunch of dirt in and say there's an approach. It's got to be built right, so if somebody plows into it. We didn't say it was okay, and then we get lawsuit anyway because we didn't check it. So
What's going on with that legal drain? Is it gonna happen or what?
I don't know where it's at.
Oh,
Drain 4, is that what it is?
I heard them talking to the railroad guy. It sounded like they want to get rolling on it.
I thought it passed.
Yeah, it's passed.
Yeah.
Did it?
And it's, the landowners have funded it, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been voted on, that's all done. It was waiting for
Some easements.
easements is what they've been working on.
There's a couple, 2 landowners that they got.
No, that's done. They moved it to the north side of
They,
the.
What's right
they,
there, Josh?
they were working on moving it to the other side of the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the county's obligation to push that through. Now, it passed the vote. They have to, there is no stopping it unless.
It went through the whole process.
Yeah.
It's done.
You know.
so do you have to lower are they gonna lower the bottom of the county road ditch there?
I imagine that's where it's going to be. I don't know where
North side of the Hannaford Road once it gets past.
past Waters.
Yeah, that's where they could get easements and it's going back to the South Sutton for
Yeah.
from what I understood.
Yeah.
So when they
That determined, I think then they don't need that 124 inch. I think if they said they run it on the north side, then they could take that. The one else that wouldn't run back to the south unless they run it back.
I'm not
Prairie Trail or
how the plan followed out after they changed left to right.
got the sprayer all hooked up pretty in the pickup. They put some trailer truck plate plugs where they can plug in their power and stuff for the reel. So now somebody's just got to get certified. But we've been graveling, they graveled on coming 11 here, and I think after the last rain it was okay.
Really nice. John said it was really nice.
And they're going to be working up north up on, Jake's got some soft spots up there. We own all the overrun up in the Algo pit and the 2 piles of gravel up there, and they're going to put some of that rock under some of those soft spots. That really brings them up.
One thing I noticed on that road down that on 11, it seems to me those shoulders should be retrieved so that water doesn't sit along there when it rains. Do you guys have retrievers for the blades? Don't have any?
Can we buy one?
Well, they're $4,000. I mean,
Now we have a tractor that we will have all year round. You know, before we didn't have a decent tractor. We looked at putting one on a maintainer, but that was like $15,000 that time we got the attachments and stuff. And when it goes out in the front, it looks on it isn't really a wing, it's some arms that drop down from the front lift. And well, then you can see what you're doing looking forward. A lot of times they're good and sometimes they're bad. If you're going to reshape a road, that'd be a good thing. But if it's dirt out on the shoulder, well then you want to pull the dirt up into the gravel. And a lot of times
rain
right
washes
now,
that away if you don't have a hog trough on the side. I mean, now,
right now it looks like there's a hog trough, but a lot of times it's just the grass. Maybe it is a curb and gutter we call it. I know a lot of times I've taken that pulled over the edges because it looks like there's a big lip there and it's just the grass. But in the spring it's the best time to do that, of course. And we talked about that also of spraying it with Roundup or something to kill the edge and then take it to now that we have a license to spray.
well, if you do it in the spring before the grass starts growing,
Yeah.
you don't get a lot of. It isn't going to be a pile of stuff.
No.
I mean, Tom retrieves my driveway all the time in the spring, and you know, you get a little silt, but it's
Definitely the roads that are going to be gravel. No,
that's what should
next year
happen before.
they should all be like we did. I hired him to do 26. Yeah, for what he did that.
Oh, you hired Tom to do it?
Tom to do that
Oh, okay.
because we didn't have one. He had one.
So that'd be something to consider in your budget for next year, I think.
I mean, Tom
I think that's.
Tom Gilbert's not the. I think Washburn's got one too.
Yep.
Our road was also.
Charles got one also.
Tom does it.
Doesn't take much gravel to pay for $15,000.
And that's the selling point of a retriever when they sell it. You know, you can reclaim all this.
Did we go on the blade? Is that what they go on to?
They can.
Well, they can. You can get like that one that's like around 15,000.
Go on the front 3-point.
Well, stuck to the yeah, or you can get the 3-point. Now that we've got the tractor, maybe you know depends upon all this John Deere deal. But it's supposed to be like a 5-year plan that was set forth, not just by Cooper Rental for the tractor. So hopefully the tractor next year when it comes to the end of its contract, will be available.
Right.
So that, of course, we can use for mowing, and we could have, if we had a retriever, which is cheaper.
Well, we're starting the budget process. Maybe you should get prices on both
Both of them, yeah.
Both of them, and
Okay.
Because if we're gonna gravel a bunch of roads, I'd sure think it'd be a good idea to do that first.
I think Jake wants to reshape some of that 15 or actually, some places it's really wide shoulders.
I don't think it'd take long to pay for it, so.
And that seems like that tills it up. Yeah, we got that Taylor with disc, but it just doesn't just get up because the discs are wider apart. Or on the retrievers, I think the one that Tommy has, he said that's even narrower than the retriever brand. So it cuts it up into littler slices, so that it breaks up easier. I can do that. I'll get some prices and it would be great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Do we need to do this, Brian?
Oh, reimbursements, yes, there's.
Got two of them?
I see there's two. It's split it up half and half, 26 going east and 26 going west. So total of $7,142.43. I've asked for the request for reimbursement of that.
Are these the same one or what?
The one's the 26 east
They're two numbers.
parenthetical
One's 56 and one's
56 and
57.
one's 57. The DOT one that's split up.
But they're the same exact amount?
It's a project, the projects are just two
32
different project numbers.
6428.
I make a motion, we sign the funding reimbursement request and send to DOT.
Been moved by Sean to sign the funding reimbursement requests and send them to the DOT. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Yeah. Another thing before they, Dale, have you ever heard anything from the railroad? I wanted to ask this guy, I knew that wasn't his department. But all the crossings, we went out and met them with all townships and
No.
crossings, and they're, in a few weeks, they're supposed to have this report back.
I think that's it. They look at them and then decide which ones have the greatest need, and we may not see any of it happen, so. They just.
Yeah, the guy said you were gonna contact us back and let us know if we have this,
PNS.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good weekend, Dale.
Yep, you too. So this letter to Becky Hogan says 2 o'clock. So we should probably talk about the city of Cooperstown.
Yeah. Unless we got something else to talk about, I just sent a text to Bob to see what his thoughts on this are. Just did it, so maybe we could do something else and see if he answers back.
Okay.
Yeah, when I talked to him briefly, he just said his personal opinion was that 40,000 wasn't enough.
Okay, we're gonna get 65.
Yeah, we got 65.
Or
right?
64 or 65, whatever.
Are we talking about it or no?
Yeah, that's okay.
What's that?
Are we gonna-
That's what that's talking about, that's okay.
Is it okay to talk to him?
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Okay.
It's okay to talk about what?
Well, I said we should wait, but then we started talking about it, so let's just talk about it. Yeah. But I mean,
Well, and I understand the city's having the same funding issues we are, but I would like to know why they feel that way. That's pretty.
it's,
Has somebody met with them or talked to them or
No,
do
I
we
just-
know what they're thinking?
I just talked to Bob, was all. I don't know.
but it
Not
isn't,
since we were at the meeting, I haven't heard anything.
isn't it totally Bob's decision whether or not he can provide us what services he can supply for X amount of dollars? We can't make him do it.
That's what he said, yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't think he can provide the services they want for $40,000, he can do it down there.
Right, that's exactly right. Or they can lessen the amount of services, and they get $40,000 of the services. But under no instance can we say, okay, Bob, go ahead and provide them the same services, and the county will provide the difference. We can't do that. I mean, that's double taxation, and it's not our. But I mean, if Bob isn't willing to do it, we can't make
Then
it.
we're done.
Right.
Well, then if Bob isn't willing to do it, let's just say, so that then we lessen the services to the city, theoretically. I don't know how they keep track of it anyway, but just say that they can. Then we have a decision to make, because now we are going to get more services at the county level, and the budget for that department is going to go up to make up the difference of that other portion of that deputy.
And did the city feel they weren't getting their money's worth?
I don't know, nobody said a word.
Yeah, this is, well, here it just says it's an offer.
Yeah, I think Bob just said they wanted, it's supposed to be done by July 30th, and they just wanted to get the ball started, or
Oh,
get the negotiations started.
Well, the contract's supposed to be renewed every July, correct?
I see, yeah, that's right, I forgot about that.
But last year it didn't get in place until 6 months after, basically.
So if they don't renew the services, let's just use the $40,000. If they renew the services for $40,000, and then we, in turn, don't supply them with a deputy for that period of time, does that mean then that we, as a county, have basically more policing time then? Or do we reduce the deputy to a lesser position?
You can do that, but how do you hire a part-time deputy? That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it as just it's their official offer, and we counter offer at 80,000, and they settle at 65 again. Isn't that how it works?
Well,
Meet in the middle?
well, we can't really. We have to have Bob's blessing to do that. We could say 65.
Because ultimately-
He said, no, I'm not going to do it.
Ultimately, it's his decision whether to
Right.
do it.
Okay.
So,
Well, obviously, we're not gonna get this resolved by the end of July.
But we never do. Bob's not answering.
Just table this till next meeting.
I guess we looked at it. We have no decision to make anyway, so.
We talked about it. Is Harold coming today? Yeah.
Nope, I didn't ask him to.
Is that all wrong, you know?
Well, we need to talk to Bob before we can do anything with that policing letter.
Yeah.
We can talk about the weed officer. The county is required by statute to have a weed officer. In the past, the county has chosen to pay somebody within the existing county staff an extra $4,000 or whatever it was.
$4,500.
$4,500. I really don't feel like it's prudent to pay somebody an extra $4,500 to do something during their regular working hours that they're already getting paid for. Would it be less confusing if we advertise for a weed officer and hire a retired farmer. So I remember when I was a kid, my grandpa was a weed officer in McHenry County, and he made so much an hour. If he had a call or if he had to go do something, he just went and did it. And then now is the weed officer. I mean, it doesn't have to be the county agent or, I mean, Nelson County, it's the road superintendent. I mean, I don't know if that's necessary.
And just work on as needed basis on an hourly, by an hourly wage. Yep, that makes sense to me.
So if someone has a complaint, there's leafy spurge, and they go out and look at it, and go, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's
They
basically.
would report back to us, or, you know, if they couldn't resolve it. You know, it might be as simple as, like, I remember him coming through Valva and going out south of Valva on a leafy spurge complaint. I think he went out there, and I suppose you'd say, you know, we got a chemical cost share program through the state of North Dakota. Why don't you go get some chemical and kill your weeds?
Do what you're supposed to.
Right? I mean, isn't it about that simple?
I think so.
I've had one call, and I told them we don't have a weed officer, so I think you're talking to the weed officer for now. So if you want something done, if you want the landowner contacted, call me back, and I will do that. And he hasn't called me back, so. I volunteered temporarily.
Really involved in
Add it on your commissioner's salary.
Don't.
So should we advertise? Should we advertise in the paper, seeking a contract weed officer to?
On an as-needed basis.
Yeah.
Would they be on payroll? Or would it just be like a voucher? That
It'd probably just be a contract,
Like a
just like
contract, I
the,
think.
just like the,
What century code is that covered under?
It might be 4.1. I'm not positive.
Agricultural commissioner?
it's in the Department of Ag.
You know what?
It's in the Ag Department.
Not just weed control.
I was just gonna say that.
4.1 dash 4701. necessarily see where it says we have to have a county weed board officer. We have to have a county weed board, but I don't know if it's necessarily we have to have a county weed officer.
Yeah, in last year's budget, we put in money for the county weed board and for the bookkeeping for the.
Yep, a secretary and a
But I
bookkeeper.
don't think we put in money for an officer.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, did we?
That's a weed secretary. There's a weed secretary line, and that's what that is.
That's the county weed board officer.
Correct.
So you're the county weed board officer.
No, I'm the bookkeeper.
It's in the county agency.
Okay. Well,
It's in the county agent's budget? Oh, really?
the bookkeeping is in.
It's in the weed, yep.
I think that's right.
There was discussion about changing it from the county agent to weed. But
Yep, yep.
I don't know if that was officially done or if it was just.
We didn't talk to him about it, we were talking about that.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't a motion or anything. Okay, I couldn't remember how we left it.
I can't remember when we talked about it, I was thinking we should probably run that past me before we go there.
I know there was discussion on it.
So maybe it's in the weed bucket.
I think it was in the weed, and I think it was the first line up on the top.
Just for the weed board.
No, the weed.
It's called weed.
budget.
Yeah, it's called weed secretary in the weed budget.
Yep, that should be a different one.
Weed control,
Yep.
What's the number?
30. Weed and leafy spur.
Weed and leafy spur.
The county weed board shall employ and provide for the compensation of a weed control officer.
What number is that one?
8A. 4.1, 4709, 8A.
4.1, 4709, 8A. Okay. All right.
It looks like we just gotta pay him time and mileage.
$4,200 is what we had wages in the, we just had it listed as the wages in the weed and leafy spur budget.
That wasn't the county agent receiving that weed?
Yes.
Okay, until
Jill was, yep,
Joe.
a certain point in time.
until she left, and then
Right, but it takes a little time. I think it's a waste of money to pay somebody that's already an employee pay them twice for doing something that doesn't take them any more
I
time.
think all these little jobs.
Yeah. So should we advertise for a county weed officer, and then Samantha, you'll have to download this 44.1 so that you can have the duties of the officer?
Century Code 4.1,
4.1.
And it's under, and then it's under,
47.
yeah,
4.1, 47.
You want to advertise it as an hourly?
yeah, it's 4.1,
Or
47, 11, 12, and 13 are the duties of the weed officer, but
the duties.
4.1 dash 47 dash 11 dash 12 dash 13 and 14. No, 14 they don't need. No, just 11, 12, and 13.
Okay.
what wage are we gonna offer that?
Probably an hourly, huh?
Well, it's got to be an hourly. It's going to be a contract employee or
Can we do
position.
that?
Can we do that?
I don't know, I mean.
That'd be a Jamie question, but I think it's just like, I mean, we could contract for our janitorial services instead of doing what we're doing too.
Yeah.
But we have so much building that we choose to have them on the payroll, but I don't think that's necessary.
The sticking point would be is if we provided the tools for the work. So I mean, if they provided a vehicle, if we paid mileage and everything else, then I think it would probably be legal.
Pay the
It
mileage.
would be in a private entity's circumstance. I don't know what to call it, a public entity. But yeah, let's do that.
Just hourly at what do you?
Well, let's talk to Jamie about it first.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that we talk to Jamie about the legalities of contract labor for the weed control officer and post the ad accordingly.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Pose same sign. Motion carried.
Jamie will be here in half an hour. What's that? Jamie will be here in half an hour, he said, but
Oh, he did get out of court earlier. He called me earlier and told me he wouldn't be here till 3.
just leaving to Dakota should be leaving in 50 minutes, at 1:45, so he'll be here when we won't.
It's 2:00 if we want to go back to the chief's spot.
Oh. I thought maybe you were sick because your pickup was home at noon yesterday when I went by there too. Oh. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, it did, huh? Yep. Oh. Yeah. I'm in a commissioner's meeting, Randy. I'm in a commissioner's meeting right now. So, I'll catch up with you when we get done. Thanks. Okay. Well, we should be able to do the assessment. 2 o'clock, isn't it?
Yep.
Can somebody tell me what the net changes to her real estate tax?
Yeah, it's there.
Well, no, it's just, I mean, you
Evaluations there, but not the
could
tax.
calculate it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have my sheets with me.
So whatever, $19,000 tax.
Yeah,
liability.
what is it gonna be, $100 a year or something? How many mills are in Munford? $374. No, that's old. 14. 295 and 13.
Do we even have the ability to do this now? Isn't that, it's just done once a year at the tax equalization meetings? No, I don't think you can randomly go in the middle of a taxing cycle.
Time and place.
I think so.
That does seem like it was in February or March or similar stuff then.
We still did it when Emily was, or just as she left April, and then
Yeah, I can't remember.
in March.
It was something about oversights and emissions, wasn't it? This one and one other one.
I think we need to table that until we can talk to Jamie about it.
Well, we're not gonna go back and tax her for last year. I think we're just changing it going forward, right? Or what? What's the scoop here? So-
Well, it says increase in 2014 value from 39 to 58,000, a difference of $19,000.
Yeah, well, you don't build the 2014 values until this year, right?
We're in that 2014 right now, it'll be, so if they're going to do it now, we would be going back and assessing a tax that had already been previously levied.
The taxes we paid in February were for 2014.
Doesn't this have to be done by the city anyway?
Again, I don't know, but I don't think.
How come
that-
we're dealing with this today?
This is the one that you guys asked Farah to assess when we went through the taxes, or
Since Hanford didn't have their sensor.
Okay.
and then Cheeks Bar had that addition onto their bar, so then you guys had Farah do it. And
Right.
This is
But when does it go on the tax rolls? Not this year, probably.
um, we do not need to submit anything to the state. It will be on the information submitted to them in December. It says you just need to send a letter to her, letting her know, and that the commissioners will be meeting regarding the value of her property. So that's.
What prompted this?
We did.
That was the decision that you guys made when it was.
What prompted the, how do we know that it got missed, and what caused?
Because when Hannaford had their city equalization meeting, it was.
Came out there.
But they didn't have an assessor to do the assessment. And since we're required to provide that,
Yeah.
we hired Fair to go do it.
Right.
And now she did it. So now I think we should act on it.
So it won't go into effect till 2015
Correct.
taxes. So it's just going to devalue to the next time. The increased value will go on the next tax.
Why don't we just we got some time, why don't we just table to get a legal opinion on it?
All that Linda says is that I would recommend updating the assessment abstract to reflect the appropriate valuations for 2015.
2015.
Yeah.
So we got plenty
So
of time.
let's just have Jamie look at it, and so when we go through something.
Okay, motion to table.
I would say,
Been moved by Dale to table reevaluation of Becky's Bar. Is there a second? Second by Ron. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. ...2014 audit.
What's missing here is the actual audit.
copies of what he brought
The
up?
first one, not the second one, the first proposal that he gave us.
Okay, but I'm just looking at the third paragraph. And, you know, at the end of it, he says, I am trying to get that process done now. So he doesn't have, the way I read that, he's not ready.
Oh, he needs us to make
Well,
decisions that he's all after.
Well, he said, I needed to ensure that a decision was made by the commission on how the financial information was reported, and I did not do that. I am trying to get that process done now. So I thought he was coming back to us when he got that process done.
Okay.
And now I read that.
Where are you reading?
The third paragraph,
On the first page.
where it says I needed to ensure.
Or he spelled insure wrong, you mean?
Well, I think he spelled ensure right. What's that? I-N-S-U. Oh,
It's not
you're
buying
right.
insurance.
Okay, you're right.
It's supposed to be usher.
Oh, he needs to
Insure,
insure.
yeah.
Or
Okay.
injure.
Yeah, and he says, I did not do that. I'm trying to get it done now, so I think he's back there looking for something.
That was on July 6th, though.
Yeah, I thought he'd be there Friday.
I didn't talk to him.
No, but if you read through this, he lays out what the option, what the decisions he's trying to make. We need to go through, if that is the case, and instruct him on what decisions how we want it done.
But when he says that he has to include the building authority in with the county's audit because it is basically a part of the county,
That's-
I would like him to show me where.
That's not correct.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
Well, you don't think it is, but it doesn't mean that it is.
he didn't stand by that. If you go to the last page here, excluding
The building.
building authority from the financial statements.
That's
This
enough.
method assumes that the building authority is not a component unit of the county. You would have to document the criteria used to determine that it does not qualify as a component unit of the county.
That's
The criteria is that the non-for-profit private entity and what makes a building authority a component of the county is a dedicated levy to that building authority. And we don't have that. We pay a lease payment to the building authority. So it is not a component of the county. It never was and never could have been. It could only have been a component of the county if the actual vote would have went forward and we were authorized to do that.
Somebody needs to show me that somewhere,
What's that?
Do we need Jamie for that?
the criteria.
He just gave us a choice.
We have
can't
three-
exclude that
we have-
was a choice.
He didn't give me the criteria so I could
Oh.
decide if he's right or not.
But we got three options under that.
He's telling us it's a component unit of the county, but if you don't think it is, then you need to tell us why it isn't. No, somebody needs to give me the criteria so I can determine that. I don't know what the criteria are. Is it in century code?
No, but it.
Where is it?
The fact that they filed as a private corporation excludes them from the public sector, and the fact that there's no funding tied to the building authority excludes them. It's excluded by definition. A typical building authority, if you're going to form one, you would form it, and then you would levy a tax, and the tax would go into the building authority's coffers on a yearly basis until enough money was accumulated just to build a project or to float the bond, or to float the bond issue. This wasn't done this way. This was a private entity, and then it went out and secured financing by using a lease agreement, which was supported by a tax levy.
Yeah, so
And-
does that make it a component unit of the county?
I was going to add also,
Somebody needs to tell me
the
that.
Attorney General ruled that the county does not have the authority to form a building authority.
Right.
And so if the county doesn't have the authority to form a building authority, I don't see how it
Then we
can be
can't
part of the
have one.
county. Yeah. It has to be other individuals that form that building authority. So that Attorney General's opinion to me means that it can't possibly be a part of the county. It would be illegal. It would violate his opinion on that.
Well, and the number one factor is, why was the building authority created? It was to get around the vote of the people, and so it couldn't be a component of the county because it was there for just the opposite reason. It's not. They just prostituted the name building authority for their purposes. It's not a building authority. It's a private corporation.
I understand.
Yeah.
Why does he think the way he thinks?
Because Harold is trying to justify, or I believe he's trying to justify the fact that he didn't account for that $290,000 check being written. And if you can say it's a component of the county, the building authority is a component of the county. If you go back in here, he makes the point. Under cash paid to the building authority, the prior commission voted to allocate $290,000 county funds to the courthouse project. They selected 4 funds to pay the allocation. The treasurer prepared a check for that amount and sent it to the building authority. There is no indication as to why it was sent to the building authority. Number 1, your choices: let the prior commission action stand and charge those funds. The funds other than the general fund are restricted property tax levies. You will need to determine if you can even use those funds for the new building. He's questioning now the propriety of doing that, but in the same instance, he doesn't want to make a decision on how to handle it. It was handled as it was handled. They voted to do it. Somehow that $290,000 check got written. I think we need to see a footnote in the budget. I think he prepared the 2013 budget. We okayed it. Audit. He prepared the 2013 audit. We okayed it. And now when we brought up this $290,000 check that was written, he wanted to go back and further amend his 2013 audit because he couldn't make the 2014 audit work with the other one in place. So I think we approved the 13 audit, the first proposal in the 14. I think we approved that, and we asked. We tell him exactly what actions he lays out here. We can let the prior commission action stand. We can ask for retrieval of the funds from the building authority, and we can file a claim to the state bond. And as far as the financial statements, he gives us 3 choices: blended presentation as far as the building authority, discrete presentation, or exclude the building authority. I believe we take number 3.
That's not the way the first one was it? The 14 audit?
Yeah, the 14 audit used
Discrete presentation.
Yeah,
And we questioned it.
we questioned him about it because, again, we instructed him last year when he wanted to make the amendments that he prepare the audit as the books
As it
show,
happened.
as it happened,
Yes.
and he did that. That's all we want done now. And I believe the 2014, you've got it here on the first proposal.
This is the 2014, it's missing the first 10 pages.
It is. Yeah.
Well,
But this one goes with the 2013 one that we approved. Yeah. And these numbers here now were taken right from the ending balance from the treasurer's books. We have that. Yeah.
yeah, the beginning balance of 14 equals the ending balance
Right.
of this original 13.
So we don't need to make a judgment on whether or not that $290,000 check was right or wrong or whatever else.
It is
We
what
just
it
need to
is. Show us what it
what it
was.
is. And if someone comes and asks about it, then they'll have to take that up with someone other than us. Because I don't know if it was done right or wrong. I don't know how it should affect, but the effect it should have is the effect that it should have. And the only way to leave it is to leave it there.
Audit should reflect what happened.
For everybody to see. Or not see.
It was set up not to be seen.
It was set up not to be seen. It was just by accident it got surfaced.
So we wait for Harold, or
Well, I think we should instruct Harold, I would like to instruct Harold personally that we follow through on his first proposal audit for 2014. And then that we
Exclude
we exclude the building and we let the prior commission's actions stand.
Did the original 2014 audit reflect the reduction of the $290,000 in the county's balance sheet? Then where is it?
The same place it was in 13, not supposed to be found. That's why he had to change it, but unfortunately, when he changed it, it only reduced the balance in the general fund by
like $20,000.
$130,000
or something, but the rest of it must have, the rest of it had to have come off the balance sheet.
No, it used the notion that the building authority and the county were an entity of their own, and it used the outstanding balances between the two entities to try to absorb some of it.
Yeah, but that wasn't the original 2014 audit.
No,
That's what I'm asking. The original 2014 audit has to have a difference of $290,000 from the beginning balance to the ending balance, more than the budgeted amount spent.
no, because it's happened in 13. So it never showed up in 13, so then it never showed up in 14.
I see.
So it's 13 is where the
Discrepancy.
cash deficiency is in the county budget in 13. And so 14 just carried forward as if nothing had happened. And then when Harold came here and for 2014 proposal, and we brought up the fact that this $290,000 was out there, that's when he started with changing things to try to make that work. But I don't think that's the way to do it. I think we just leave it as it is, and then whoever wants to look at it for whatever reason, to fault us, to fault the building authority, whatever reason, it's there and it's in black and white. And he gives us that option. I mean, he gives us the option to leave it as it is and to exclude the building authority from the financial statements. And I think that's all we need to do, and have them complete the audit then as per the first proposal.
That's the original.
What's that?
Yeah, but he has to finish that 2014 audit.
This one.
Oh, that one, okay. So
It's finished. He just needs to put the notes in there.
The footnotes or whatever.
So I would make a motion that we instruct Harold to complete the 2014, the original proposal, incorporate sentence 1 into the cash paid to building authority proposal, and incorporate paragraph 3 into the presentation of the building authority and the county financial statements. 4 and 5 would be our retrieve the funds from the building authority and file a claim with the state bond. That would be our responsibility. He won't make a recommendation to that. He gave the option of what you could do.
I think that makes sense. I was going to go through all these numbers, and I never did, but like I see, he's changed the county loan.
Right.
From one to another, he changed the general fund, and probably if I went all the way up and down there, it has to add up to $290,000.
It does. In the general fund implication was the 130.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of it's there.
It's hidden in here somewhere.
Yeah, chunk here, chunk there.
Yeah,
Right.
Here's the
But I mean, his statement that he doesn't even recommend that we change it around because those funds were taken out of the restricted property tax levy is damning in itself. So why would we want to change it? Why would we want to do anything other than, we don't have to point fingers, we just have to say, here's how it is.
We have a motion on the table. Is there a second? Did you get the motion?
I will go back.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, the
Okay.
motion is to have him finish the original 2014, not to change the 2013 audit.
Right.
Exactly like it is. To finish up the 2014 audit as we originally proposed it, and to add footnotes
With
And to
this,
exclude the building authorities.
to exclude the building authority.
and let the
Exclude-
previous commission actions stand.
Stand, right, yeah.
So these two options, this one, this one.
But does he have to put those footnotes in the audit, explaining it? I mean, he has to put some of that explanation in his audit, doesn't he?
Well, no, the building authority excluded will be excluded, it just isn't there. And maybe number one, cash paid to the building authority, let the prior commission action stand. He doesn't need to make any note, but he does need to make a footnote in the 2014 audit that previous 2013 audit contained a $290,000
Okay, yeah, that's.
Discrepancy.
discrepancy, and there's no action for it, it's just,
That'd be a good footnote to have.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Tax director, Sean and I did meet with the last tax director applicant. What was her name, Sean? Doggone it.
You remember her well.
I remember her.
That's all right. Okay,
Hold on. Give me 1 minute. I'll help you. Patricia.
Patricia Lawrenson was the last applicant, and just looking at her work experience, I guess it is my feeling that of the 3 applicants remaining, she's probably the most suited for this position. She's done most major office type positions.
now, did she want a full-time position or part-time position? How was that going to?
Let me look at
Part-time.
Part-time?
But I advertised it as a full-time.
Right.
Did she check part-time on her
Yeah.
application?
And Sean and I talked to her about that, and, you know, we confessed that we weren't tax directors. But in talking to other people that have been, there would be times of the year when she would have to work more, and other times where it wouldn't be as busy and she could work less. And she seemed fine with that.
So what, yeah,
Would be our recommendation that we offer her that position. Get her started with the training.
Part-time basis.
So do we want to do it like we did for
Tracy.
Tracy?
Yeah, I'd say so. Right? Same terms?
yeah, Tracy was part-time?
Tracy was part-time, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's 3/5, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're okay with that one?
At $14.50 an hour.
I would make a motion and we offer her the position on a part-time basis with the same terms as were offered to the prior applicant.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Roy votes aye. Motion carries. Did you contact everyone?
I will.
Okay. Okay. Health insurance.
You want me to do that?
I can do her.
Okay.
You can swat me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Deb and Brian Pfeiffer are the custodians for all the county property. And they have always gotten a single health insurance plan from the county between the two of them because the amount of work that they do combined equals a full-time position. Now, Brian works full-time for the county,
For the rooms and.
for the road department. And I don't know why, but he was never given that benefit when he took on that position with the county. And he just asked Samantha if it would be possible for them each to get a single policy because they really are two full-time equivalents. And I think it's the right thing to do. I don't know.
Basically, what's happening right now is they have a family together, and so if Brian got it at the road, then he would have Deb under there, and then they would just be paying that anyway. But now he's wondering if he can get a single policy amount paid towards their family.
So will it cost the county more or less?
You guys would just be paying for another single policy.
What is it, $160 a month or something? What's your single policy?
500 and something.
Not a single policy.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. You're living in the past.
Is that single with dependents?
No, that's just a single.
Oh, it's ugly.
And it just went up too because we got, and DuPers went with Sanford, and Sanford's went up.
No, Sanford's cheaper than them.
Sanford's cheaper
Blue
than,
Cross.
yeah, Blue Cross, but it did go up from
Oh.
what it was last year.
Yeah, it's almost 604 generator.
I can tell you in just a moment. What it
So
is.
they had a single policy between them.
They have a family.
But they're paying the difference.
Yeah.
They're paying the difference, right?
Right.
So what amounts to is Brian never got a single policy when he joined the road department.
Correct.
Yeah.
A single policy is $581.48.
What's a family?
A
12 or
family,
13, I think it is.
a family is $1,404.84.
So we just need to, there just needs to be the equivalent of 2 single policies is what we need, right?
That's what he's asking for.
2 singles would be like $1,000, but one family would be $1,400.
$1,160.
So but that's what he's asking for, is 2 singles, okay.
Well,
The equivalent.
The
the equivalent of
He'll
2
still make up
singles.
the difference on this family. policy.
Correct.
He'll still be paying $300, but instead of
Okay.
900.
Makes sense.
I'm fine with this.
Seems fair.
I'd make a motion that we pay Brian and Deb Pfeiffer the equivalent of 2 single policies towards their family policy.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale? Ron? Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried. Vacation sick leave donation.
Danielle Rosewarn hurt her back, not with anything with work and stuff, so she has been out. The doctor said that she should not return. And so Kelly would like to donate 40 hours of her sick leave to her.
She'll return like ever? Or what?
Oh, no, she'll be returning, but just not right now, sorry.
Who's Danielle Rosewarn?
She's that new deputy. Our new-
Oh, yeah. Danielle Larson. What's the status?
What's that?
When is she gonna come back to work?
I have no idea.
Guess we've done it before and there's a policy.
We've kind of set precedents.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to approve this sick leave donation from Kelly Vincent.
Been moved by Dale to approve the sick leave donation by Kelly Vincent to Danielle Rosewarn. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
On that theme, I think we need to have a policy change on this accumulated sick. I think it's fine for unlimited sick days for the individuals accumulated them. But there is so much sick time out in the pool, it just goes on and on and on. We limit vacation days to a certain number of days. And maybe we shouldn't limit it to, maybe it should be unlimited for the person that has accumulated those sick days.
Is there a cap on that?
No, there's not.
Okay.
So,
It's a huge liability to the county.
I know.
I think we've talked about this before, I think we should eliminate sick leave altogether and just have PTO.
It wouldn't get rid of the sick days that we accumulated.
Well, it wouldn't get rid of any of the accrued sick leave,
Right.
but it would stop it from accruing.
Yeah.
And then if you used your PTO for whatever you want to use it for, then you get rid of the need to police whether the sick leave is being used for being sick or just because they want to stay home. But we did it at NODAC 15 years ago. It works better. They have more PTO than they had vacation. And if they're healthy, they get more days off than they would have unless they were dishonest. It rewards the people that are honest. I just think it's a better system than having both.
Yeah. Well, are those personal days transferable then?
What's that?
Are the personal days transferable
To what?
to another person?
Well, you could make them transferable, but they would have to be pretty generous to give them away because they can use them for vacation too. The reason that people donate sick leave that are long-time employees is because they got 2,000 hours of sick leave accumulated, and it doesn't cost them anything. It just costs us.
And you don't get
It costs
paid.
the county.
Right.
It doesn't cost it.
I'm guessing it was tailored after the state thing, 'cause that's the way it was.
Well, I mean, we were Cheyenne Valley and NODAC. We were all the same way at one time. You accrued a day of sick
You
leave a
know,
month, and
you don't get paid for it even if you got it when you retire, or you get paid like 10 cents on the dot. So
we didn't pay.
it's like free time. You just
We didn't pay for anything for the sick leave. Sick leave is, to me, it's either it's a benefit that you get if you need it and you don't if you don't. You know, giving it away is a pretty easy thing to do
for the cost.
if it has no value to you. But if it's a PTO day, it has value.
And it hasn't been abused, I mean, but it certainly has it could be abused. I mean, you could theoretically keep somebody going for years with the accumulated, if you kept donating with the accumulated sick leave that's all within the system.
Right. And the reason that we changed that NODAC is because we had a couple of employees that made sure they didn't have any accumulated sick leave, and that's a big enough town that it's hard to watch.
On the state system.
And it wasn't, and the rest of the employees were mad because they knew what was going on. So we changed it, and I think everybody won, you know. And then you don't have that accrual out there that you don't know how it's going to affect you someday.
And I mean, if the employee that accumulated the sick leave is sick for a year and they have that much sick leave, I think they should be able to take it. But I think the transferring of it is got to be limited to some extent.
There's some risk to the employee when they donate sick leave to somebody, you know.
There is.
But
There is a risk.
so
factor.
the employees are pretty generous to one another
they are.
in this outfit.
Yeah. It hasn't been abused, so.
The risk decreases the longer you're an employee, though.
Right.
The more you
The
have.
bigger the bank is, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you get sick yourself,
But we don't have
giving a
short-term-
bunch away.
we don't have
now you don't
short-term-
get paid. When
We don't
you
have
get-
short-term and long-term disability. So if somebody would happen to have a cancer issue or something, some long-term care issue, you could eat up 2,000 hours of sick leave in a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just need you to sign that.
Okay.
Is the employee manual something that we change just as you
Well,
guys
I was
see?
just asking the question. I don't know if it should
No,
be.
it would be
done.
it would be a discussion to have during the budget process.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I assume that the employee manual must call for the commissioners to okay it. We okay it every time. I don't think it's a courtesy. I think it's a needed.
Right. I think it does say that, an employee.
So every year you guys just,
No, we have to.
No, the
Oh,
individual
yeah.
requests.
right.
That was the only question I had.
could probably try to find a good PTO policy from another county and download it and look at that and maybe.
Good luck to you, Ron.
What's that?
Good luck to you, Ron. You might want to look at private industry. I bet there's none in the county.
No, no,
I bet not. They're all tailored after the state system, I think.
No.
I think it all became.
Yeah, they probably do, but it would be, why would they do it?
Yeah, I just didn't think we'd be on the lead.
I think all the counties are tailored after.
If you Googled the responsible bureaucracy, if there is one, it would be under that.
Yeah.
Well, but the state has that.
Yeah, and I think that's all the counties are tailored after because they belong to PERS and, you know, all
But
the all.
the state's not responsible, would be my point.
Exactly. But I mean, they're all tailored after it.
Yeah.
Because
Look at the unfunded liabilities that the state won't deal with. I mean,
I mean, we're sitting, the county here is sitting on just a,
got to do this, but we're not going to fund it.
you know, the retirement, I mean, everything that we're sitting on is,
but then North Dakota PERS is a state.
I know, but I mean, but we still have, those fees will keep going up, the North Dakota PERS, in conjunction with the amount of employees statewide, and we, the county, the taxpayers, are responsible for that increase. And so as that system becomes bloated and inefficient, even though it's not our own county funded, we still have to endure the increases. And so it'll get to a point where, as has happened in a lot of other states, the total budget is going to take care of employees' retirement and health care.
So one thing the state's done, we pay like 4% of it, where the county pays all of it.
Right.
But the premium's gotten so high.
Yeah.
It has to.
I know, I get it. But
that's why they started.
if we wanted to do the right thing, we'd get rid of the defined benefit and have a defined contribution.
Yeah.
Because then there are no surprises down the road.
And then there is.
I mean, at the bank, we don't have a defined benefit program, we have a 401k. If the value of the 401k goes down, the value of the bank doesn't go down, just the value of Troy.
Right. Well, I don't, in private business, there is very few defined benefit.
There used to be.
I mean,
Yeah.
of course, yeah, and a lot of them were tied with the entities that had a big union influence. But there's very few of them left anymore, so. Yeah. You know, other than governments where.
Governments and oligopolies.
Yeah. But I mean, that's going to be that is eating into our ability to run the county now, but you give it 20 years and look what's going to happen. And now it's going to get further escalated with the drastic change in the healthcare system. That's just going to escalate all those costs just right through the roof, and someone's got to take care of that, and that is each and every person that is paying into the system.
People riding in a wagon. As Dinesh would say.
But is there a way out of it? I mean, you have to almost buy out those existing plans.
NODAC, I think what they did was all new hires are not.
Yeah.
Started running new.
Yeah. So you're running two different systems.
For
Yeah.
a generation,
Right.
basically.
Mm-hmm. And that it would take, you know, in the situation we're in, we would still be paying into the PERS for both the active employees plus the retirement part of it. You know, we're covering the retirement part of it through increased rate charges. It'd be 15 years down the road before you ran it all through the system.
Well, you don't contribute to North Dakota PERS after a person retires.
No, but the people are still in the system. They're still in the system, increasing the costs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Somebody's got to keep funding it
Yeah.
till
It's
they're
just
all
good.
dead.
It's impossible for those actuarials to predict the future cost of the programs, and they started with too optimistic numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it amounted to. Okay, 2016 budget.
John, Ron, and I have been meeting, and we have come up with a format to get to the department heads. It is the same format that the state auditors recommend us using. Ron has done some fabulous work and has gotten all of my formulas put in for me. I have now put in everybody's actuals for 2014. They're estimated for 2015, and just about done with revenue, so I'll be getting those out to the department heads on Monday. We'll probably have them back by August 17th, if that works for you guys.
Then we'll be reviewing them. Maybe?
That's our second.
It'll be the Monday of your second meeting, so that then I can plug in all the numbers into my spreadsheet, and then we can meet on it on the 21st.
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to go earlier, I can try and.
Well, it'd be kind of nice if at least a couple of us could look through it prior to the whole commission so that we can fix anything or take some of the time constraints out of this thing, so if we see a problem, then we get it fixed right away before we present it to the full commission and waste everybody's time,
Right. So should I try and have them back by like the 10th? So that I can go and plug some numbers in and then get it out to YouTube?
Yeah, whoever wants to do it, but what do you think, Ron?
Or is that not giving the departments very much time?
It seemed like by the 10th,
That's like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, it seemed like they ought to be able to get it done in that time.
Okay.
And then I would volunteer people to help look at it and look at the numbers and see if they're making sense. If somebody else wants to do it, they'll say, well,
So I guess that was just my update for you guys.
Sounds excellent.
On
The only other thing was, do we want some basic guidelines on
Constraints, you mean?
the suggestions? They can write anything they want in there, But I mean, are we going to try to maintain a zero net increase in expenses? Are we going to?
Well, we did that last year. What's the CPI right now? 2.1?
2.1. Yeah, 2.1. I mean, just be right at 2.1. So if we want to be, if we want to have it based on something and we want to be fair across the board, then we base it on the cost of living increase and assign that to all the different salaries.
Is there a wage and salary survey for the state?
Yes, there
Did
is.
we just get?
Did I see one of them just recently?
I think so.
No, that's on the website on the.
Yeah, I think we got an email where you can go.
Association of Counties.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
there is.
came out about a month ago or so.
There is.
So from our standpoint, we should probably print that off so that we have some guidance as we're reviewing these budgets.
You could. The argument.
I don't know how valuable they are.
Well, the argument can be made that no two county has the same circumstances, so you end up trying to
I get that.
compare size of the county, but then location of the county makes a lot of difference because you have the county out west that have a lot higher living expenses and costs. So,
Pretty tough.
and then there's no, as I've looked at it, Ron's looked at it, as you look at it, we might be too high in this position and too low in this position, but then if you make them equal, then we might take an employee that's been working here for 3 years and have him or her higher salary than somebody that's been working here for 30 years. So I think it almost has to stay within the county and then make the adjustments.
Just the percentage.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But yes, there is. You go to the North Dakota site and you can see all that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. It's got every county on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to put that in a letter to the department heads? Because I did put I do have a letter drafted, and then it asked if they had applied for any grants. I do have that in there, and is there anything else that you want in there?
Well, we need anticipated revenue from everybody if they do have any, which would be the grant deal. And there's going to be things that come up. I mean, they can get grants during the year that they didn't know about prior, but pretty limited. And then their expected expenses. And if they're a lot different than they were this year, then there'll have to be a pretty good reason.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ron and John and Samantha, for your diligence.
Ron and Samantha, I just gotta sit here and watch.
Your help too.
Okay, courthouse, old and new.
I got this letter, and so I just decided to put it in here. Kelly thought maybe you guys had already decided on this, that we weren't going to go forward with this.
Well, we did that a long time ago.
Yeah, but
My recollection.
That's what Kelly thought too, but
Yeah.
then her and I both received this, and
And
so,
I received it at home, but why would we put bulletproof panels on that bench if we're not gonna be sitting there for another 60 days?
I thought that was the decision.
so I don't know if a letter didn't get out to them saying that we weren't gonna go, so should I send a letter?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like we could get this interactive television as part of this grant and then move the interactive television over to the other side. I don't even know what they're talking
Oh,
about.
it's
with this
specific for the
interactive
Cal.
television. What's that?
It's a specific to line in the judge,
In the what? Oh, in
the
here?
Kevlar or
Yeah,
whatever, ballistic thing.
yeah, I just thought, well, yeah. Maybe it's not-
If you do nothing, the grant award's gonna be canceled.
So,
No problemo.
I thought the deal was we didn't put them in, and they were, the judge was fine with it if we got a
Metal detector.
metal detector involved, so
Oh.
not showing up someplace. And then,
on the ballistic panels, yeah.
rather than
Yeah. I didn't
remove
know.
those panels and had a metal detector, then the judge was,
Well, and it's because we're gonna move out of here, so.
yeah, exactly, because the judge wants use those funds for something that were going to be tossed out.
Then I'd asked Kelly yesterday, I think, if she would have that grant request ready on the 142,000. So we could get the 107. Did she show up at work today? Or?
Yep, she's here.
Okay. She just didn't get it done then.
I guess I didn't talk to
Yeah,
her.
yesterday she thought she would be able to have it done, so.
Oh, okay. Should I go ask her?
I guess that'd be good.
To give, I'll make a motion to take a 10 minute break.
Been moved by John, take 10-minute break. Is there a second?
I'd second.
Second by Dale. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Call the meeting back to order at 3:10. Ron, did you get hold of Jamie?
Yeah, he wasn't going to come down. He didn't really have anything. Unless we asked him to come down, he wasn't planning on coming.
Don't we need a reading on something?
And the cheeks bar assessment?
The what?
The cheeks bar
Cheeks
assessment?
bar.
And,
The assessment
and
and
the
on
job position, the weed board.
the weed board hiring or employment options.
Should I call him again or should I just?
We need to send it.
Yeah, I think I can.
Okay. I did talk to Kelly. She doesn't quite have that done. She's got everything she thinks, you know, that she's put together. She has all the checks ready and all that Ron asked her to find.
Yeah.
but I don't think it quite reconciles with what Ron had put together. So she would like Ron to help her get the wrinkles ironed out of that thing. And then I think we as a commission should authorize them to send it in when they get to that point, so that we don't have to wait for the next meeting.
No, I'll look at it. We gotta look at it. We've got time.
Okay.
Don't you, Ron?
Yeah, I mean, because I guess I sent out, I probably sent some stuff to you. I know what the number's gonna be, but still, we haven't agreed as a commission on that number. But yeah, we probably really do have.
Okay.
We gotta look at it.
Well, we're going to meet again on the 7th of August. Isn't that far?
Yeah, we gotta agree on it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay. All right. Anything else on new courthouse, old courthouse?
You want to explain the electrical?
Oh,
Well, just an update on, Ron and I were in there.
Wednesday or Thursday?
I just walked through it with those guys before the meeting.
Okay. So you probably know, well, anyway, we talked to Bergstrom and we talked to Schultz, and they had a long discussion on Bergstrom was thinking Schultz was gonna do the low voltage wiring, Schultz was thinking Bergstrom was gonna do the low voltage wiring. We arrived at some compromise in between. Travis was there, and we instructed Bergstrom, the first thing to do is get the air conditioner fired up in the IT room so that Travis could.
That's going to happen today.
So Travis could move forward. We've talked, the door is in, correct, for the
No,
office?
I had thought it was in, but
Okay.
it turns out it's not. But it should be here any day,
Okay.
probably Monday.
The wiring's done in that office. There's a little bit of baseboard to be put on, but Scott yesterday, Red Willow, when he came to paint the door, he'll put that baseboard on. We'll have one entity get a bid packet.
Yep.
Yeah, the bids are August 7th on the concrete package.
Yeah.
And then, well, there's not really a problem, but testing the generator might be an issue, but we've instructed Bergstrom to do it. So they'll work with Abraham and make sure that.
Well, there's a problem with the generator, and we're going to have to help resolve it. The generator was not delivered as per spec.
No.
So there's supposed to be an annunciator panel in the building, which it's going to be in the IT room.
Yeah, I got that handled. The annunciator panel, they had one down at Omar's.
Where's that?
I talked to April, she said we could pick it up anytime. And that was yesterday. And then they ordered a 60 ampere breaker that had been shipped with the mounting hardware. And then to run the generator, she said that when it gets time to run it, give her a call, and they recommend Interstate Diesel in Grand Forks.
Ralph Hollinger will come and test it.
So that's
Okay.
been resolved. So there is an annunciator panel that will work, and she said it's a real simple deal. So that's been, I think we got that handled. The reason we needed a 60 amp breaker, there's a 600 amp breaker for the whole building, and then there's a 60 amp breaker that just runs the emergency lighting, and that wasn't installed in here. So there's a bracket, and we install it right inside the generator. I think that's it. Bergstrom was doing the.
What was the glass, did that be?
Yeah.
Omar's crew is going to put that breaker in.
No, I think Bergstrom Electric is.
They indicated to me that they don't really want to work on that generator.
Okay, well then I'll talk to Omar so they can put
I mean, they'll hook up, they'll terminate the connections,
Okay.
but they don't want to
Okay.
have to mess with it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, so I assume that then they're getting the air conditioning going, and there were some low voltage wires for the other air conditioners and heating units that had to be run, and they were gonna do that too, and I think that was about it.
Okay.
So Travis, as soon as the air conditioning is on, he can finish up what he needs to do, or get started to finish up what he needs to do.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I told you that, yeah, I told you about the other offices, we can have them for a while each. No, I don't think there's anything else.
One more week, the concrete bids open yet, right?
So,
Okay.
I'll move we adjourn.
Well, we don't know.
Oh,
Okay. For the logbook, I asked him what he thought about the contract, and he says 48,000 about covers an officer. I can't do the contract with any less staff. So,
Covers an officer, but not a car or insurance.
I mean, the 65,000 is what we figured last year.
I think we had that all
We're doing.
hammered out.
Is an all-in cost.
Right. So the officer, yeah, but then we're donating the rest of it.
It's a beat officer.
So do we need to make a counter proposal?
I nominate Bob.
Do we need to make a counter proposal to them?
I think Dale's proposal.
well, the policing service contract just says the contract may be reviewed in July for budgeting purposes, so I suppose that's what they're doing. Right.
Yeah.
Shake us down a little bit.
Well, I mean, should we just increase it to cost of living increase and call it good?
So 67,000 or something?
You don't like Dale's 80,000?
Well, I hate to talk them, you know.
Yeah.
I don't hate to, but so, I mean, if we raise it 2.5% and what was it, was 65 or 60?
65.
Times 66.62.
Okay.
Or just go up on the 48,000 off we were charged 2.5%. That's
So is Bob saying he'd settle for 48?
Well, Bob's number's not right. That's the problem.
He said that's just the cost of an officer.
Officer,
He's
not-
not saying that's what we should do.
Right.
Yeah,
you have to get something for your patrol car and wear and tear and
absolutely.
insurance. And that's,
Right.
All our costs are gonna go up.
I make a motion that we counter offer at 67,500.
Been moved by John to counter offer to the city at 67,500. Is there a second to the motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Well, I think that should be a hard number. I don't think this is to negotiate for a higher or lower price implies that there's a profit in this thing, and there isn't. We're just trying to recover our costs.
So we should have Samantha draft a letter to that effect.
Yeah, there's our cost for the services that are required will be $67,500. But again, you negotiate if you buy a car or something like that, but in this instance, it's a service.
So,
And the cost.
but I mean, we should state that in the letter and then state that if in fact the city would like to reduce their budget for this, you will need to consider which services you can live without. Because if the price goes down, so will the other services. Because really this is all about number of hours. policing in the city, right?
All they demanded certain times, and they had it all laid out what they wanted.
And their proposal at 40,000 was for the same services they're
Yeah.
receiving now for 60.
Got lots and offered.
Yeah.
Right, they stated that.
Yeah.
But what happens then? I mean, for every dollar they increase it, it raises the cost to the taxpayers for this.
I understand that.
Yeah. So don't we just have to have a hard figure? Here's what it costs to do it. And we need to have the $67,000 or $65,000 to cover our costs, no matter how much time we put into this thing.
I think that you can take that stance, but if in fact the city does what some of the other smaller towns have done and said, well, then we're not going to do it, then we are still going to have some presence in the city
We're still obligated to.
because we're going to enforce the North Dakota state law within those cities. So.
Well, as Bob stated, he's only obligated to enforce the misdemeanors and the felonies.
I mean, we've been down this road 100 times.
So yeah, you're right. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't either.
It's
Some dialogue.
Some
Some dialogue with the city might be helpful in this.
So that's what it says.
Well,
We're
well,
supposed to meet this.
don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, just this is the down.
Maybe we should appoint Bob to negotiate with the 67,500 number and report to us when he's got it.
Well, I guess it is kind of his thing. And
Trying to get it on cheap review was seeing if you're receiving the services at cheap.
even if they do agree to 67, it's still up to Bob whether we do it or not. So
It just seems that there's got to be a baseline cost to this thing, and going below it either requires that we up the services in the county, or at some point we do away. We can, like Troy said, we can't have a full-time deputy. So if they say no to the 67,500, is that a whole deputy? I don't know what the answer is, but it would seem that that's the case.
well, I think we kind of calculated those costs out, didn't we? That was why we stayed hard and fast to 65.
Right. So I think we should just make the offer of 67.5, and that's our bottom dollar on this for the services that are required, and see what happens. But you run the risk you run is they might say, well, no, we're not doing it at all. What do you think, Troy?
Well, that is the risk. That's why I think it would be more productive to have some dialogue than this shooting a letter back and forth thing. Seems kind of silly. I mean, there must be some reason that they decided that was more fair.
Well, I believe there's a compromise amongst themselves. There's a certain faction that wants more law enforcement in the
Some
city
that want
presence.
none.
There's some that want it to go away, and I think it's a compromise.
We saw that at the meetings.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Some of the city council,
Doesn't want it and some do.
Doesn't want it at all.
they want to get rid of it
Yeah.
entirely.
They did, well, last year that was the case. And then there was the faction that wanted it, and
I think the right people were right there that night.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, we can go meet with them again if we want, then we'll do that. Or we can just, I
see
don't
what
know.
happens.
The only thing, like when they have no police around, their city ordinances are dead in the water.
There are now.
There, no.
We can't enforce
They're
that.
not enforceable.
Well, there's no justice afterwards. I mean, they can
Right.
go talk to the people, but there's no court deal with
Yeah,
it.
there's no recourse.
Theoretically, they can't even go talk to you. They can't even go tell you. They can't go
reprimand you for breaking an ordinance, it's not enforceable. So,
Ridiculous.
I think it's a pretty good deal. We need less laws, not more.
Is there any further discussion on this motion? Seeing
Well,
none? Oh,
I think you and Sean went, and maybe you should get on their agenda next time and see what they're thinking.
That should be coming up real quick, shouldn't it?
They meet Monday nights, I think, but
First Monday or first Tuesday of every month?
I can't remember.
I think it's on Monday, I think.
Is it Monday or Tuesday?
I think it's Monday.
No.
I don't know for sure. The commissioners used to be on Tuesday, I think they're always on Monday.
Either they're thinking they're not getting what they paid for, or they're want us to quit, because that's.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. You guys want to go see what those guys have on their mind at the next meeting?
Good, or should we send one letter first and see what the response is? And then-
Well, I don't want to make them mad. You know, that's the problem with having such a little
Well, then it gets so spread out.
snippet of information passing back and forth. It's like, well, screw that. You know, I mean, kind of gets to be one of those deals.
Well, that's why I got so drug out the last time, I think.
But we just passed a motion to send a letter.
Yeah, we can send a letter and then go, and
They can carry the letter.
Okay,
And
Send it with John.
okay.
Call him Paul. He don't want to talk to you.
don't blame them.
Hi, Paul, John Wakefield. We're here in the county commission meeting looking over your, the letter from City of Cooperstown for the policing contract. You're on speakerphone here. Would it be possible that, would you guys want to meet with a couple of us or at your next meeting and talk about this, or what do you think about this?
Well, you need to have another John producer, or what was the deal?
I didn't get that.
I didn't hear, I couldn't hear.
Go ahead.
How much longer are you guys gonna have stuff in there, what's going on?
No, we just wondered if we could come to the next city council meeting and talk, and have the policing contract on the agenda.
Oh yeah, you guys can come next meeting, we can go put you on,
Which is Monday, right?
that's no big deal.
When is that?
3rd of August.
What time?
Monday.
We start at 7, we can put you right up at the beginning, if you want, you don't have to sit through the whole meeting.
Okay,
Does that work?
yeah.
Okay,
Sean and I will probably come there then like last year.
okay,
Thank you.
sounds good, thank you.
Bye.
Done deal.
So we'll just deliver the letter?
Okay. Are we gonna go back to the Cheeks Bar assessment, or are we?
We don't have a reading from the attorneys.
So I should table it?
I think we did.
Yeah, we tabled that.
Okay.
Make sure the minutes reflect that.
I had that we tabled it, but I didn't know if we wanted to table it this meeting or table it till the next meeting.
Oh,
So-
table it till next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Jamie's gonna have to answer 2 questions for us, both of the tabled items.
Okay,
One of them is the employment
the weed
We
outs.
got off the ceremony.
of the
If it
weed.
could be a contracted or if it has to be an employee.
I got that.
And then the other one is the proper chronology for adding that addition to the tax rolls,
Okay.
since the equalization meetings have already occurred,
Okay.
you know. Okay?
I made the motion a long time ago.
Didn't get seconded. Died for lack of a second.
You didn't ask me.
contract in, or Sean or somebody, with a letter?
I will, yep. And was I supposed to be the one to talk to Harold as well?
You've been conversing with him, haven't you?
I haven't talked to him lately, but I can. Okay.
So you're going to?
Anything else? You'll have to give me that section of the minutes where we spelled out what we want.
Okay.
I wasn't writing that down.
It's okay.
I got it. What am I doing? Right here. Here, and then it's here.
Does that cover the footnote?
No, the footnote is not, yeah. That was for the, anyways, you know, that is bad, yeah.
Footnote, 2013 audit was done incorrectly, right, to the 290,000.
Yeah, I don't know if it has to say incorrectly, but I think the footnote should say that there's a $290,000 diminished cash balance as a result of that. Or we ought to word it.
That expenditure was off budget.
It was off radar.
And it just increased the total's cash value by that amount.
Okay.
There was a motion about this advertisement for the county lead officer that I talked, or that whatever Jamie tells me is right, then I can put it in the paper. Is that correct? Or do I have to wait? Okay, cool. I'm good.
I'll move we adjourn again.
Been moved by Scott, that we adjourn. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Dave. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next meeting is on August 7th at 1 p.m. in this room. And then the following meeting is on August 21st at 1 p.m.
Suppose we have a welfare.
Can I get a time? Time. This time.
Meeting is adjourned at 3:35.